are revealed. The mystical world is commonplace to those who know its mysteries. Here inside the Dragon Theater, we invite you to take a few steps towards unraveling the mysteries behind the veil with your host, Sun Monez, and wizard behind the screen, Raphael Diaz. The Dragon Theater will bring a whole new light on the paranormal and mysterious worlds. So, welcome to the very first edition of the Dragon Theater, live from Substation in Buffalo, New York. Buffalo, New York, which for some reason is one of the most haunted places in North America. And what better first guest to have in one of the most haunted places in America than one of the most professional, disciplined, scientific-minded paranormal investigative teams up and coming today. Today with us we have the Greater Western NY Paranormal Society with one of the top founding investigators, Dan, and their teen psychic, Ashley. Thank you very much for coming out on this very cold, blustery, rainy day of Buffalo, New York.
Thank you for having us,
Yeah, I'm very excited to have you guys because, well, you guys just basically started on your own.
Yeah. Me and Cameron, the other co-founder, and I started the group. We met at work, had no idea that we were both interested in paranormal.
Right.
And kind of just grew from there, you know? I mean, we added a couple of members, we interviewed some people. We wanted people that were really dedicated to what, kind of had the same vision as that we had, and we've progressed since then, we're a team of 8 now.
Team of 8.
Yeah.
And when did you come on the team?
About a year and a half, almost.
Mm-hmm. A year and a half
ago, yeah.
How many?
She wasn't even asked to be on the team. I was kind of just threw her in.
Yeah.
You just threw her in?
Literally.
Did they tell you what you were in for?
No.
No?
No. I thought I was going to just witness one of their investigations, or filming of an investigation, and I got there and literally threw me a shirt and said, well,
You're
let's
in the
see what
team.
you got. Let's see what you got. What are you feeling?
They just
yeah.
trial by fire.
Oh, yeah.
And, because you told me before that you've been doing, or basically been experiencing psychic activity your entire life.
Yes.
What was that like to be thrown into a situation and then having to more actively engage not only with the paranormal but with people?
Well, it was terrifying.
It was terrifying.
I mean, I was obviously nervous because part of me was like, is this real? Are they going to think I'm a lunatic?
Right.
And then it was also being with you guys on camera. And at that very moment, I was actually kind of coming out to everybody, to the world, saying that I have these abilities. So it was scary.
Did your skill increase as you started to work more professionally with them?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
Was it a matter of trust in your own abilities, or was it more of just the amount of application you were doing?
It was trusting the ability, but once you put your mind to it and you get comfortable around people that support you,
right?
It's kind of like opening the door, floodgates, and it just all comes out.
Now, how is that? How does that register in your mind? These psychic impressions. Is it a feeling? Do you get images? Do you see things?
A little of everything.
I
can hear things.
You can hear things.
Excuse me. I can see things. I have dreams. Really strange dreams a lot, and I get little bits of movie clips sometimes. Movie clips. So.
That must be pretty hard, considering the fact that you're always going to some of the most horrific places in the world.
Yeah, it can be. It really can be.
Yeah, I have many questions for you on this. And Dan, you told me that you grew up in an actual, I don't want to say haunted, because the way you talked about it was kind of nice. It was
peaceful.
It was peaceful, but there was definitely...
I always knew that there was something there at my house. Stuff being moved. We'd come home and my sister's stuffed animals would be neatly placed in a pile in the middle of the floor. So it was nothing ever negative. And I heard kids singing in the house.
Kids singing?
Yeah, like the one day my parents, I was in summer school. So I was actually staying at my next door neighbor's house, my friend's house, and my family went off camping to Shirkston. And I was going in the house to get my G.I. Joes, and I opened the door, and I heard kids singing on the upstairs. And I was scared, and my friend's like, well, who are they? And we ran upstairs, and things were just like toys were all over the middle of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Just peaceful. We have a crayon drawn on the ceiling when we walked in. The crayon sitting in the middle of the floor.
Did you see like crayons moving?
I've never seen crayons moving, but oddly enough, they have the drawings on the ceiling. I've never painted over them or anything like that.
Right.
And it's 9-foot ceiling, so nobody's
You couldn't
reaching
get
up.
up there as a
No,
young man.
I couldn't even get up there.
So could you guys walk me through a typical investigation? What do you have to do to prepare? What happens when you arrive? What happens during? And what do you do after?
Well, I mean, when I book I do usually book the locations.
Okay.
I don't tell Ashley. We don't tell Ashley. We just tell her, on this weekend we need you to be off,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't want her to, we don't want her to research it. We want to get like a clean, fresh mind of what she thinks is going on there,
Mm-hmm.
which she's normally dead on. But after we get there, we'll usually get there during the day,
Mm-hmm.
to kind of do a walkthrough, talk to the proprietor, the owner of the house, film everything. We're filming everything from the moment that we get there till the time that we leave.
What kind of equipment do you use to, basically, what you're trying to do is document something that is supposedly impossible,
Mm-hmm.
So what type of equipment do you bring into these environments to interact, to record, to document the paranormal?
Well, we have a really nice Sony HD camera that our sponsor bought us for so we can make better professional videos.
Okay.
We also have infrared cameras, night vision cameras, regular cameras. I mean, everything that you can think of possible, we have. I mean, and we have two videographers, photographer. A lot of I'll take pictures. She'll take pictures. We're all doing things while we're there.
And we joke because everyone's like, "You got all your equipment?" And they're like, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, "I got my flashlight."
Yeah.
I don't use equipment, but
I really like using a K2 meter. I really like using.
What's a K2 meter?
It picks up electromagnetic fields. So if I put it up next to an electrical box, it's gonna read that. So we'll use that or a millimeter to go around the house to kind of get base readings of the house.
Do you turn off the electricity in the building you're in?
Yes.
Okay, so that...
Normally, or most of the buildings we go in don't have electricity.
yeah, it's true.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, very rarely is there, but we do turn off all the
Because
electricity.
I've often heard that certain types of electrical current can give a false reading as to whether or not there's actually something in the room.
No.
And, that's a very interesting thing that you try to have the electricity turned off.
Yeah, generally when we actually go in to do the investigation, we have all the electric off in the house.
So you guys are, and I understand because because of your show, you wanna take people into places they're afraid to go. But all of your shows, they're pretty horrific locations. At least things that generally people would think are dangerous. Do you guys have any form of or way of protecting yourselves before you move in or before you investigate a scene? And if so, could you tell me so?
Yeah, I mean, we always say a prayer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Prayer.
before we go in.
Yeah, to each his own. Everyone's different. We like to pray. We
Okay.
like to pray.
And has that made a difference? Have you ever been into a place where you just had to rush in and couldn't have time for a prayer?
No, no.
No, we always have
No.
time.
Oh yeah,
Always
you
have
always have
time.
time to pray. Yeah.
And it makes a difference.
We
I
do
think
before
so.
and at the end.
Yeah, absolutely after. Yeah.
Okay.
We don't want to bring any entities out with us and take
Right.
anything home. So we try to make it clear to them that we don't want anything following us. You're to stay at this place where you're at.
And we say it out loud, like literally out loud. We
Mhm.
want to be heard. You stay here. You don't have the right to come with us. You stay. There's no attachments.
Has anything ever followed any of your team members home, would you say?
Before Ashley was involved, one of our previous team members thought that she had something follow her home from the Hinsdale house.
From the Hinsdale house.
Yeah.
So in case the audience doesn't know, because I was going to get to the Hinsdale in a bit, Hinsdale is located right next to a massacre. And you guys have given me some more information on the Hinsdale house as far as it was sort of like a murder house for
Yes,
coaches?
it was a stagecoach. This is the theory is the stagecoach used to come through there, and the resident of the house used to basically knock off the people on the stagecoach and steal their stuff, bury them in the basement, bury them in the hills, right next to add to the burial grave, basically.
Because I knew that the the local Indian nations a couple hundred years ago had basically one nation had come in and massacred about 5,000 others, and they buried them all somewhere around the Hinsdale house.
Yeah.
And the Hinsdale, in case the audience doesn't know, is one of the most famous Western New York haunted spots, and you could just pretty much find a ton of information, ton of videos about this house. And I've heard that you were particularly freaked out about this house.
I was. Obviously, I've never been there, but you hear stories.
Mm-hmm.
You hear stories, and whenever we go to a location, I feel it. Like I get my heart starts beating. I shake. I get a knot in my stomach. And this particular location, I was terrified. I was really nervous.
Yeah, I almost had to pull off to the side of the road when we were driving up these little dirt roads to get to the house, because you could just tell she was, having trying to hyperventilate a little bit when we were going. I guess it didn't help. I was teasing her, but
All he does is tease me. All he does is tease me.
We're going into a haunted house, so you.
Yeah. Ashley, it's getting thick. It's getting thicker. Dan, shut up. Shut up.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Since you go through such intense emotions in these scary places, why do you do it? I mean, it almost seems like you're exposing yourself to experiencing trauma over and over again.
I know, it's horrible. No. Well, I do it because I like it. I do it because if I can help somebody, that's most important to me. I want to help somebody. And, that's just how it is for me. I have all these different feelings and these emotions, and physical or mental. I got to figure out a way to get through it and work with it. And I think the more that I do it, I'll get better. I'll get better at it.
She's great. She is great. She's helps a lot of people.
What is the process of helping them? What do you feel that you're able to accomplish in these locations?
I mean, it depends on the situation. Whether it's a reading or whether we go into a house and there is negative paranormal activity. We try to sit down with the person, investigate the house, and just try to come to some kind of conclusion, a way to help them, a way to get the activity out, or if we can help them emotionally, whatever we can to do to help somebody, that's exactly what we do.
I think you also got to know who and what you're dealing with. So if we're going into a location, and I want to know what the person's beliefs are as well. Like, what do they believe? What have they done? Have they tried doing a seance or conjuring in their house? Have they, try to get some background on them.
And that's a big thing. And what I don't like is I can feel if they were conjuring. I can feel if they were playing with a Ouija board. And like you said, you sit down with them and you ask them, and they don't want to tell you right away. But in the back of your mind, you're like, yeah, you did.
Yeah, it happened.
Yeah, you did. And you kind of got to feel them out, because you don't want to embarrass or insult anybody or hurt
Well,
anybody's
a lot of
feelings.
times these things are
They don't know what
dirty
they're
secrets
doing.
of the family.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about
Right. But they don't know how to
the
close what they
Satanists
opened
that
up.
live there.
Yeah.
When
They may have opened a door that they don't know how to close. So it's
So, a lot of time, for people who don't know, it is often considered that things like Ouija boards or even just doing light conjuring actually have an energetic or spiritual effect that once opened, isn't easily closed.
Right.
And one thing I really like about the Greater Western New York Paranormal Society is your level of professionalism, as opposed to another unnamed paranormal group who was explicitly told, don't use a Ouija board in my house. And what did they do? They went in, they thought they had a hot lead, and they used a Ouija board and left it. They actually were all so scared of the house that they all ran. Whereas I've watched your videos, and you guys have some pretty hairy situations, and you you stay.
Yeah, and we'll go back if we have to.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, there's been times where we've had to go back to locations numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
We've had to bring different people in to bless the house, or different, this didn't work, let's try this or something. I mean, there's a dark entity, we might bring a demonologist in to do a blessing. Or
how demonologist? Okay. Let's just stop right there. You guys bring a demonologist.
Yeah.
Okay. Without naming names, how does a person become a demonologist?
Wow. I mean, it takes a long time. I mean, there's a.
Where does somebody go?
We met.
Is there a demonologist college, or is it mostly a self-taught thing?
I think it's self-taught. I do believe they work, like understudy sort of thing. It's not an easy thing. It's not like you can jump on the internet and get your certificate to be a demonologist. But they're out there and they're amazing. And again, like we bring them in because, like Dan said, we don't always have that fix for the house. So we do reach out to other people and bring them in.
We had just couple weekends ago, we had the pleasure of meeting a gentleman in he's one of two in New York State. He's basically a Catholic exorcist.
I think I saw him recently.
Yeah.
I wanted to reach out to him.
He's a really cool
He's
person.
He's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Amazing, man, yeah.
The for the people who take demonology seriously, to them it's about is a thorough a self-education, or whatever education is you might say, of someone who researches birds or insects or whatever. It's basically a mass categorization of a paranormal species.
Yes.
And from what I've heard, and I haven't had much exposure to demonology, but these things actually have species local to certain environments that may, things in the northern climate may not exist in the southern climate. And is this something like in your interactions?
Yeah, and this is, and that's why we kind of set the line. So we're not going to go and say we can save you, we can do this. If we think that there's something that we're up against that we can't deal with, we have enough knowledge to say, okay, we're stepping back. Let's get somebody in here that can deal with this the proper way. Because we ultimately we want to just help people.
Just want to help people.
Yeah. So if we can't do it, we're just fine stepping back and letting somebody else come in.
So, what's in this for you? I mean,
well,
Ashley is experiencing a sort of psychic growth, and she feels that she's doing something that's involved with her personal evolution. And as you started off with a childhood is exposed to this, what now is your motivation, driving motivation?
For me, is to prove that there's life after death, scientific, life, being able to actually prove to somebody, with the equipment that we have.
One question I wanted to ask you was, do you think everyone becomes a ghost after they die? Or do you think that what happens after death, in your opinion, that makes someone end up a spirit or a ghost inhabiting an area?
I think everybody does, but I think there's certain spirits or ghosts that maybe haven't finished what they wanted to and are stuck kind of like in a mumbo jumbo. And I think any spirit can come to you if you want them. If you want somebody or want something enough, and you think about it and you really focus on it, like in a meditation, you're going to be able to hear and speak with that. You have to get into a different frame of mind. I mean, with my experiences, but I think that there are spirits that need help. I mean, they're there, and they need to either move on, or figure out what they're doing and go to the light. I mean,
after you come to a place and investigate it, do the people who reside there have a different experience of the location? Like, you go and you investigate a house, and you go and you find out if there is anything there. How does that help the people living there?
I mean, there's been houses that the people are, they're just amazed the difference of the quality of life they have. I mean, what was the one, Marcia? I mean, we just she was getting scratched. She was just so frightened to be in her house. And we actually had to have 3 house blessings done, 3 different.
She's just depression. Like you said, physical abuse. She just, when we got there, it was the point of she just didn't even want to really go on.
Really?
She was just in
such
a dark place.
Something with that house. I mean, she picked up on. They were upstairs, and inside the closet, she picked up negative energy coming from the closet, and we couldn't find anything. But then we found a loose floorboard in the closet.
Gosh. Just like out of a movie.
Seriously, picked up this. It is, and we didn't plan this. I mean, this just happened, right? We pulled.
Did you get this on camera?
Oh yeah. It's the end of season 1. But there's two episodes to it. But they pull. What did we pull out of there? We pulled out a gun.
We pulled
Oh gosh.
A shred of clothing, like a child's clothing.
Oh.
What else was in there? A piece of a bone.
Yeah, bones. I mean, it was insane. It was insane.
And we wouldn't have found it if it wasn't for her picking up on the. Why would we go into a closet and pull up the floorboards?
So how did you know to pick up the floorboard? What went through your mind? What did you experience know to do that?
You go in the house and you talk to your clients, and I don't know. I went upstairs and I just wanted to go right to the closet.
Well, Cameron actually.
And it's Cameron actually. He's gung ho. Like, he's amazing. And you go in the closet, and if I have a feeling in the closet, Cameron's gonna find out why I have that feeling. And I was just standing there, and we're just kind of bouncing around, and just this vibe coming from the floor. And he's like, okay, and he just went for the floor.
Went and asked her if we could pull up the
Yeah.
board.
Do you mind if we,
rip
rebuild
up
your house
floor?
and rip up your floors? And she's like, go ahead. But
Taking those items out, what did we take the items out of the house, that puts a void of where those items were, so you have to put something back in.
Okay.
Right. And then we had to bind.
And we had to bind the
all
items.
the stuff we took.
Bind. What? So could you explain what binding is?
Binding, it's kind of a binding ceremony. I actually took the things that I found. I put it in a box with kosher sea salt.
Okay.
Put a top on the box, bound it with rope.
Mm-hmm.
You can say whatever blessing you feel comfortable with saying, and then you remove it from the house.
Okay.
So binding it, getting the energy out of the house.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That must be amazing for you to have as you said, Cameron, have such trust in your instincts. Enough to tear up someone's floorboard.
Yeah.
One case that I saw your TV show, Behind the Shadows, Weeping Willow.
Yeah.
That one.
Willow's Weep,
excuse me.
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
I mean, I felt dirty just watching it. The land and the fact that the family would keep a blood-stained couch. That was pretty macabre. It was pretty dark, and if not only looking bad, imagine what that must do to the energy of your house. What was your experience there?
It was just freaky. I mean, it was a long drive to get there. The moment that we got there, there was like tornado, downpour, rain, get out of this area.
And the dreams I was having. Oh my God.
From the minute I booked Willow's Weep.
Yeah, you told me about this.
Yeah, she started having these dreams.
And you didn't know that you were going there.
No.
Yeah, she did. I mean, she knew we were going to Indiana, but she did not know where we were going.
Okay.
And she's picking up on these storms and everything.
I felt like we got stuck in a tornado. I kept seeing storms, and I kept having dreams about suicide. Every different way of killing yourself. It was weird. And those two things just didn't make sense to me until we got there.
Yeah.
So you had 3 months of dreams of tornadoes,
and
suicide.
Yeah.
And are you making fun of her the whole time?
No, not at all. No, I just tell her that I try to reassure her on stuff like I do joke with her, but I also take it very seriously.
Because he's the one I pick up the phone and go, I don't know what's going on, I'm freaking out, and I tell him everything, like all my dreams, and then just try to make sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I try to help her as much as I can.
Okay. Did you experience any form of danger on this location?
I don't feel like I experienced danger, but I think that there's a lot of things going on in the house where, from the early times of the house all the way to present. Okay. I mean, it seems like there's just a lot there. There's a room in the house. First of all, I mean, the main room is a pentagram.
Oh gosh.
It's literally a pentagram. It was been built for conjuring, right?
Specifically built for.
Okay. The house had to have been built
Definitely.
for that specific.
Now, was there any record of conjuring events going on there?
Not that they were able to tell us about. I mean, we didn't have a lot of time to research when we got there, but we did. I mean, we did bring in other paranormal investigators from Indiana, and also the owner of the house. She can't even rent the house out. I mean, nobody can. Nobody
even wants to be there.
No, nobody. They came in the one day and it looked like there was a burn mark on the wall, and it was in the shape of, it had 2 horns on it, and it was, so there's there's no corners to this house either. The house was built without corners. So every place where there would be a corner, there's a door.
Huh.
And I think the lady at the house says if the devil can't trap you, that's why they built no corners. So it had to be somebody religious of some kind, that may have built this house. There's also a room in the second floor. There's a room on the second floor that there's one window in the back and no way to get to this room.
All right. Yeah. I'm not going there. But
People have tried to.
People have tried to. So you, was it, I forget exactly how you worded it, but it was basically a magnet for everything negative in the area?
Yeah.
This one location.
Yeah, I mean, the land. Let's start with the land.
Mm-hmm.
The land was bad land. Okay? So to me, it feels like this person bought the land, and to almost strengthen the land, to use it what that kind of negative energy is for, he built this house in the shape of a pentagram.
Right across the street from a
Right across the street from a cemetery.
Right
I mean,
across.
it's the way everything was aligned. It was just strange, and I didn't know what the house looked like. So here I am walking around in a circle, and I'm walking around in a circle, and I'm looking up, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Right.
I'm like, it's a pentagram. It's in the shape of a pentagram.
Now, in this one particular episode, you actually get mad at
I
him.
do.
Like, you yell at him for
Yeah,
saying,
Cameron.
why did you bring me here?
Yeah. I'm like, really?
And do you guys, once you were done there, do you feel like you actually helped out, or was it just a temporary fix? Because that seemed like something like you almost couldn't fix, like a water main that nobody can get to.
I mean,
you
we
know?
were able to provide pictures and information to the owner.
Mhm.
If it was me, I'd take the chair, I'd remove it from the house, and then I would dismantle every piece of that house
Right.
till nothing. But that's just me.
That's just
Yeah, I
just-
mean, unfortunately, at this point, I believe that they're just using the house to have paranormal groups come in. No.
Yeah, did
Yeah.
they charge you to come in?
No.
there? No. Another one that I loved because it freaked me out was, and tell me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, Licking County Jail.
Oh, yeah.
that was good.
The old Licking
That
County.
was
That's a
good.
one.
So, I have actually a very interesting story, after you guys tell your story, about the young man who was lynched there. Okay?
So you looked into this?
Oh, well, I have a strange connection to
Okay,
this story.
all right.
But can you tell me just run over the basics of Licking County Jail in the episode?
Yeah, I mean, basically, this jail was run till about the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that runs the jail right now is a retired police officer, and kind of went over all the stories of people that have been in the jail, and we went in to try to see if we could recreate anything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We've been to quite a few jails, and that was one of the freakiest
Yeah.
ones.
What made it freakier than the others?
Just the amount of activity that we got in it. I mean,
Mhm.
we had shadow figures, we had names being called out. Like they knew my name
Yeah.
on record. I mean, they were saying, they said Dan on a loudspeaker.
Anything else?
I don't know, not to me, but when something knows my name and I'm in a different
It's
state,
uncomfortable, yeah.
it's a
Pretty
little uncomfortable for me, you know. And each person has their own experiences at every location. Some may not get any, some may get a lot. And that one for me, just the shadow figure that you saw in the window, and then my name being called, that was enough for me.
And so that wasn't even enough for you to stop.
No,
Like
no,
stuff
no,
like
we
that.
went all night. You
Yeah.
know, that.
No, what was the name of the young man who was lynched there?
Do you remember his name?
Oh gosh, I don't.
Do you know what year he was lynched?
Not off the top of my head, I can't remember.
No, I mean it's a horrific story, and you know everyone feels differently, and you know I don't think you have to be sensitive or a psychic medium to feel anything really.
Right.
You just walk into a place and you can just feel.
Everybody
I
has an
mean,
instinct.
Oh my gosh,
This was a kid.
yeah,
this was
this
a
kid,
young
it's a-
kid that was pretending to be over the age, over age, and he was working. I guess he got into a fight or something like that, and then they put him in jail, and then everybody wanted him. I guess he had killed somebody of prominence, and that was within the government at the time, and it was a big, drunk town. Everything was a speakeasy, and I guess he was with the liquor authority or something like that, and
Killed the wrong person.
killed the wrong person.
Well, here's a little bit more of the backstory, which you don't know, because it was a local thing that everybody suppressed. This young man had also killed his mother.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. So they knew about him before he apparently killed, it was like a mayor or something
Yeah.
like that.
Something like
Right.
that.
So there was a lot of people, but once again, nobody could prove it. But it was pretty. I mean, it was a local rumor, and in small towns, it's a lot harder to get away with things. So they had it out for him before, like he had that the incident with the mayor, and so the details of the story I'm about to tell are a little.
I don't feel so bad for him anymore.
Okay, this is.
I felt bad.
So how this story came about, I know a Buddhist priest who was actually, for whatever reason, was in that county, Licking County, and he was in an old people's home once again, I don't know why. And one of the guys there was saying that either his father had partaken of the lynching, or that as a young man he was there, and they beat him, and then they ended up hanging him somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's
They
part
beat
of the
him
story.
in the prison and then took him out and hung him off premises.
Yes.
Couple streets over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they, this old man, apparently they were playing like backgammon or something, and they were just kind of talking to this Buddhist priest that I know, and they go, "Yeah, we lynched this young kid. We shouldn't have done that."
Oh my God.
And we hung him up in the jail or the dungeon or whatever, and you should go check it out. So anyway, the Buddhist priest was like, well, I guess I have to. I'm on vacation, but, I guess when a Buddhist priest is asked to do something, you have to go do it. So he actually helped. The way he told me the story was that he actually helped this young man who was so angry. He was caught in the way the priest said it, his mind was caught in an anger loop, right? And he actually, and this was like maybe a year ago that this just happened. He actually helped the young man who was lynched to move on.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And he said it was just, like a ball of anger that wouldn't stop being angry and couldn't get out of it.
That makes sense. I mean, when someone dies horribly,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a tape. Rewind, and these spirits, they play it over and over, and it's kind of like they're stuck in their own hell.
Okay.
So that makes sense.
The way that I've heard it is that people can, when they die in a terrible state, or whether they won't let go of something, they can get caught in a minor part of their own being, and they keep on reliving that over and over again until they get exhausted or whatever. So you guys go to a lot of locations. You go to public buildings. You told me you go to cemeteries. But I'm really interested in the family residences that you guys investigate. Of all the family residences that you've been to, which one had the most danger to the people living in it?
Tina.
Tina.
And she actually allowed us to make a video on it.
Uh-huh.
Most residents don't, but she wanted her story to be told, so that was in Niagara Falls.
And the title is Tina's Torment, and it's truly
What was so hard about it for her? This is not an episode I got a chance to see.
Oh, I mean, everything. She was really physically, mentally spent, done. She was getting sick all the time. She was in and out of the doctors, in and out of the emergency room. They couldn't find anything wrong with her, but this house and the things in it were just, I truly 100% believe we're going to kill her some way.
Let's give, a little history on the house. So she ended up buying Mr. Porter of Niagara Falls, very prominent. He was the mayor. She actually lives in one of his residences. It was the Porter house. There's been documented deaths in the house, like shootings.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the stuff that she actually had herself there, because she was into conjuring, and she was into.
So the woman who owned the house currently owns the house.
Yes.
She
was opening doors she couldn't close, and
so by the theory of what you guys have told me, she was actually doing stuff, quote unquote, magic she couldn't control.
Right.
And according to what you guys are saying, it came back to bite her.
It
Pretty
did.
much, yeah.
It did,
Big
definitely.
time, yeah.
Where did she learn this? Do you know?
Books.
Mm-hmm.
Books.
She got into, this thing where she was wanting to be or practice Wiccan.
Wiccan, yeah.
And, you get books, and, she made a homemade Ouija board and had seances in her room all by herself.
And there was ghosts or something in the house that were very attached to her.
Yeah.
Very, very attached to her.
Males. And it was almost kind of like a sick relationship between a man and a woman. They never wanted her out of the sight. They would literally, stare at her while she slept. She couldn't go to the bathroom or take a shower alone. So
a stalker,
you
can't call the police on.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't. Whoa. I've often heard that just because you can do it, just because you can read it, just because it sounds good, doesn't give you enough authority to actually do it.
Right.
Right.
and this seems to be a case where that's come true. What was the end result of this particular case?
It's an ongoing thing still.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing thing.
We've had it. I've blessed it. I've cleansed it. We had somebody come in, but it's ongoing. It's ongoing.
Yeah.
Is that because she's still opening
No,
the doors?
I mean, she's basically taken our advice, but it's something that's going to have to be an ongoing thing until it subsides, you know.
Right.
Okay. So this is just because I want to ask you guys, and it seems almost impossible to, well, maybe not to me, but to a lot of my friends, especially my one particular friend who always says to me, I'll let you do anything you want to do that I don't believe in. And but I was wondering, in any of your cases, have you ever seen physical objects actually move on their own volition or for unexplained reasons?
Yeah. Absolutely.
What's the biggest object?
Mine was a necklace.
A necklace.
Yeah. This is years ago, not investigating.
Mm-hmm.
I was wearing this really ugly necklace, and I don't know why, but all of a sudden it kind of felt like some sort of static electricity kind of going on right here, and I kind of looked down, and my necklace is like this,
Jeez.
raising up like this, and again, one of those moments where it's like, I'm clearly crazy,
Right.
but it literally, I'm looking down, and the necklace is raising right off my neck.
So, something like that, of an object moving outside of the laws of physics, okay, to most people, that would seem like you're hallucinating, you're crazy, and you've had this experience
Couple
of objects.
times.
How do you explain this to people who think this is impossible? You guys want to see this. You're hoping it will happen, and it does.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of why we try to document everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like jumping out of a plane. Nobody believes that you do it unless you see the video.
Right.
Unless you see the video.
Yeah, so, I mean, there was when we were at Cazenovia Library in South Buffalo, we were at a public investigation, and they just tied one of those glow sticks on a string and put it on the wall. Physics say that that's just going to lay there.
Okay.
And they actually got it on video going like this off the wall, you know.
More than 35 degrees.
Yes.
Okay.
Just because we asked if there's something here,
Yeah.
prove it to us. Do something that will make us believe that you're here.
And what is the history of Cazenovia Library?
There's theory that a lot to do with the land that it's on. It's an Indian burial ground. There's also they think old librarians still doing their job there. They think that there's a grumpy old gentleman that runs the place in a top hat from the 1800s that just walks around and they have stories of books just flying off the shelves and from what she's picked up is that this before she went to the library, she's like, he likes to just knock things over just to watch people pick them up, just to show that he has power, you know. And the first time we were there, she actually got scratched on her back when we were.
That's never happened to me ever. It really freaked me out.
Did it heal normally?
Yeah. I mean, we're sitting at the table. I think Ghostbox or EVP session.
Yeah.
And I just got really freaked out, and I'm like, damn, my back's on fire. I said, I don't know why I'm freaking out. Just horrible feeling. And he's like, well, let me see. And he's got the flashlight, and I had 3 scratches right across my back.
Mm-hmm. So you guys go into a lot of locations where terrible things have happened, negative life experiences. Do you have any stories where you've gone into a place that it was very positive, where it was something of an uplifting nature?
Yeah. I mean, we've been able to actually go into houses and help families know who's there. I mean, there's families that we've gone into their houses where they're freaked out. Their kids are moving out. They don't want they don't want to stay there. They don't want to stay in their bedrooms. Kids don't. And come to find out that we get a simple name on an EVP recorder, and then the one that I'm referring to was a residential that we did, and the guy, the husband was whatever. You want to bring these people in, that's fine. It's just for his wife's sake, Comes to find out that it's his father.
So basically,
and we got the name Dallas through an EVP recorder, and the little boy was communicating with his grandfather and his grandma. It was really heartwarming. This kid that would not sleep in his room, slept in his room for the first time in what was like almost 2 years, I mean, he wouldn't sleep in his room, but now that he knew that his grandma was there watching him and taking care of him, he was fine. The family was fine.
Never had any problems.
Never had any problems since.
And that's the best part.
So, in a way, you're basically helping people to get more familiar, accept paranormal experiences, and not be afraid of them.
Right.
And how has that shed any sort of meaning or significance to your life?
Well, I mean, I'm a walking billboard for it. I mean, it's something I've lived with my whole life. And I want to be able to tell people and show people that it's something that you can coexist with. Doesn't have to necessarily be negative. It could be a positive experience for someone, you know.
Are there any dangers in doing what you guys do?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Besides being scratched. I mean, in the
Absolutely.
long term, besides being scratched.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that chance that you might have something that you don't want follow you home. It's been known to happen. But doing this sort of thing, that's, a chance you take.
I mean, there's physical danger. We're walking around places that we could fall through the ceiling. We're in pitch dark walking through buildings and stuff. I mean, just, physical danger at all times, So it's definitely that's why we always try to make sure that we kind of have somewhat knowledge of the layout of the building and, what areas are the hot spots, and then try to stay put so we're not wandering into places we shouldn't be,
Okay. Do you guys, I mean, you guys have made 2 seasons of TV show Behind the Shadows, and those are some very intense stories. Even by other paranormal stories, other paranormal shows, these are a little bit a step above in a way. It's a little bit more personal. Doesn't have that Hollywood edge to it. You guys are in there. You're puking since some of them.
It's personal for us.
It's personal.
Yeah.
Have there ever been any investigations that you feel were too much to make a video out of, to make a show out of? That you just said, no, we're going to just bury that
There has been shows that we've buried. Some things you don't want to shed the light on and make a negative scenario out of, because it could turn around and be a positive experience for somebody else. There's a couple places that we've done that we felt like maybe there was something negative, but thousands and thousands and thousands of people go there on a yearly basis. So why are we going to bring that out into why are we going to scare all these people into not wanting to go to this historic building and preserve it? I mean, part of what we do is try to help preserve places as well. So when we do public investigations and stuff like that, but I mean, we have put to the wayside quite a few. I mean, it was good for us. We were able to show the proprietor what we found and just let it be,
Yeah.
Well, so, I mean, it could be a local Walmart.
No, it wasn't a Walmart.
No.
They're a little bit more historical value than that. So.
I understand.
Yeah.
Not many paranormal teams have the level of professionalism that you have. I've heard of a lot of horror stories coming in and making things worse, for the most part. In the future, you guys have done 2 seasons. You have really, really investigated the Northeast pretty thoroughly. And it's mostly, from what I've seen, been documenting ghosts and all that stuff. In the future for your team, do you think you might want to branch out to different levels of investigating different entities, different spirits? And if so, what are your plans?
I mean, there's been talks about it, but nothing's set in stone yet. I think we have a lot going on as far as paranormal investigating goes with our future. But I mean, there's been talks about it. Who knows what the future is going to hold for us? But we're probably good to go for at least another year or so doing this.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, definitely.
And one of the things I wanted to get to is the fact that Buffalo is so weirdly haunted.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we, a city? We're 300,000 people in this city, and it just seems, from everyone I talk to, it's off the charts. We
like to say that it's probably, we can go up against Gettysburg, we could go up against anybody, because there's just so much activity here in Western New York. It's unbelievable.
What are your theories as to why that may be?
I mean, everyone has their theories. Niagara Falls. I mean, that's a theory. The energy from the water. We were, where were we? Allen Street, and I have a way with words. Not
We were in
you know.
Allentown at
Yeah.
Macy's. You're talking
And
about, right?
when you stand in the middle of the street, it was like lightning under my feet. Just the whole area, just the whole street.
There's so much history here.
There is.
Presidents, just, you know, it was a city of over almost 1 million people at one point.
Yeah, a lot.
The upswing, the downswing, and I really do. I feel like the water helps bring energy. When it rains out, it seems like activity is so much higher, and I don't know what that is or why that is, but something that it's just a theory of mine. You know, at this point, a theory, and hopefully at some point be able to prove why that occurs. You know.
Right.
I had this one experience 2 years ago. I talked to you briefly about it. Do you know where Red Jacket Park is?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're smiling at me.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell me. I was just sitting there with a friend of mine. It was just a hot summer night. We were just talking. We just wanted to go a place to talk. And Red Jacket Park is right next to a medium-sized river. And across from the river are these huge silos, which are old and abandoned, and the mythology of what supposedly happens in these silos is dark beyond dark. Anyway, it was late at night. Across the river you could see a bunch of trees, and because of the silos behind the trees there was a little bit of backlight. And through the light I could see at the bottom of the trees a bunch of figures moving. I couldn't tell how many I saw because they were just moving so fast. I didn't really know what it was. I just thought it was a bunch of kids running around, you know. And so that was maybe 50 yards away from where we were parked. And then out of nowhere, it was like a cheesy Halloween record you used to hear as a kid. The sound, that classics of witches laughing.
Oh, wow.
But it was so loud that and it seemed to not come from anywhere, but it was so loud that it wasn't possible for humans to make it. Now, I've told a scientist about this, and he goes, well, it could have been coyotes. I go, no, I've heard coyotes dozens of times. This was not a bunch of coyotes making this sound. Taking this story a little bit further, I had an aerial shot brought to someone who studies the art of feng shui, okay? And she was able to figure out, because it was a high aerial shot that showed the whole city of Buffalo further off in the distance. And she was able to say, well, that particular spot makes, the way this particular outcropping by the river was, whatever happened there was the prime location to influence everything that occurs in Buffalo.
Whoa.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what any of this means. You know, I mean, it's not I have no conclusion. It's just, it was so cheesy to hear a bunch of witches or what
Could
I
have been
think
coming
were
from a
witches.
different realm of some kind.
I would have thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
I mean, something similar like that's happened to me and Ashley when we were in the basement of the Ukrainian Center, and we thought we heard this growling type. But where was it coming from? You know,
Oh, the guy with the goat head. Oh,
yeah, it was like this growling in a sub. I don't know. It sounded like it was coming. Like I was saying, if this thing is here, if something's here, prove it. And she's like, he's getting mad. You know, he could squash us if he wanted to, right? And I said, okay, well, just tell him to give me a sign. We just heard this growling kind of just coming from. I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. You know, like where did that just come from? And
Yeah, you couldn't. There was no like. It didn't come from here. It didn't come from here. It was just weird.
It was like it was in my face going.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like.
But it was like, you couldn't. It didn't. I don't know. I was like,
That
was it a
was something that
monster?
scared.
Was it an animal?
I was
yeah.
scared, and
Yeah.
I wanted to get out of there.
Yeah, and I
At that
told
point.
him, don't do it.
Yeah, she did. She warned me not to do anything like that,
Yeah.
but I did anyway.
so I have talked with many people who believe that they've had a spiritual affliction, like this woman Tina.
Mm-hmm.
And for many people who've never even seen a ghost, for many people who don't even believe this is real, it's hard for those people to even understand what it's like for people who believe they're being tormented. And here you guys are, rushing headlong into harm, coming in with all of this equipment, basically exposing yourself to goodness knows what. Do you ever see yourself not doing this? I mean...
No.
No.
Not an option.
And then part of helping people to believe that what happens really does occur, we do have situations where we bring the public in and have them come with us. You know, like, check this out. See, there's no tricks going on. This is, listen, we just hear this voice coming through this speaker. Hear that, you know, what? See this going off. You know, like, I mean, they get to see it firsthand. And we've had non-believers turn into believers. We've had. I'm waiting for this one guy. He was at Kenmore Lanes with us. His name was Jim. It's like, you are.
Kenmore Lanes is a bowling alley.
Yeah.
Who would think that a bowling alley would be haunted?
Me.
Right here.
I know, but it doesn't seem like you think an old mansion, a dirty old house.
It's amazing where there can be paranormal activity. You're very surprised.
But you can see my point.
Oh,
Some people
absolutely,
think, how many people, who hasn't been to a bowling alley, right? And you go there with your family and you're having your soda or whatever. Why would anyone think it's haunted?
Well, maybe not haunted, but it was back in the day. That used to be a place where people would go to have a great time. That used to be the entertainment. There was no movies. There was no. That's what people did. They went and hung out at the bowling alley. So why wouldn't you want to go back to that fun part of your life and hang out and do that some more? You know. So
I've had a little bit of training in things like, Taoism or Buddhism, and I've had a lot of, not a lot, I haven't been officially qualified in certain things, but I wanted to share some ideas with you that I've learned that may or may not help, And one thing I notice is when you guys go into a place, you're very intense. You're active, like you are actively engaged. You guys are all hyped up, at least from the videos. I mean, you're there for 6 to 8 hours. I'm sure a lot of
you don't see the bloopers.
You don't. But from what I've learned, and maybe this will help or maybe it's not, but a lot of times what stops the interaction are emotions. Having emotions stop a lot of people from experiencing these things. Having an unmeditative mind. Like when you're in very calm state, it seems that these things are more accepting of you. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're engaging some demon from whatever, they just might want to eat you, but...
I truly believe that, what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think that's why it helps us when we go into a location, because we research it, we know the story, we know what's happened there, and it gives you a little bit more peace than just trying to figure it out for yourself, So.
And then when I go there, I don't know everything, but I kind of go in there and make myself vulnerable, just kind of open myself up, allowing things to come through and forward, and tell me your story. I want to know. So that's the way I do it.
Okay. But one thing I wanted to throw your guys' way was something I learned. I was at a Buddhist retreat, and it was called a light offering, because they believe that a lot of beings are stuck in a negative cycle, which we've talked about tonight. And what they would basically do is pretty simple. Like when they would go in, they would offer light to the beings so that it would help them illuminate their problems. And it just seemed like if I was ever going to do what you guys were to do, it would be a great way to say hello. And that way, I mean, it may not be as dramatic as, something scratching at you. But it might be a tool that you could use to make a smoother connection instead of, kind of gentle them down before you sort of ask, you basically ask very personal questions of beings who probably haven't been talked to sometimes in hundreds of years. And, I mean, if you came up to me and said, hey, son, what happened today and all that stuff, I'd be like, who are you?
Right.
Right, no, that makes sense.
And just, oh gosh, who was I talking to the other day? Once again, it was another Lama, and I was asking him, what can the average person do to clean out their house if they haven't gone through all this training? And he said, plants. Lots of plants. I want to ask you guys, in the houses that you've gone into that are really, really haunted, are there a lot of plants? Is there a lot of life?
No.
No, not at all. Actually,
None. Not that I can think of at all.
And I think, I don't know, I kind of see it having with Tina. She got to this point where curtains were closed. There's no sunlight.
Right.
It was just, you walked in, it was just dark.
Dark and dingy.
Dark and dingy. So you know, when we're investigating and we're telling her, we're like, you know what, play some music.
Right.
Dance around the house, cook a meal. She doesn't use her stove. Open the curtains, let the light in.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That was the
a good
thing he
theory,
said.
and
He said, bring life into the house because negativity can't exist where life is. And in all of the situations where I've walked into where there was something of a problem, she said, buy a tremendous amount of plants. It's hard to be really sad around a lot of plants.
That's true.
You know, they clean the air and goodness knows what else they might do.
Yeah.
The other thing, and tell me if you've seen this, fountains, water fountain, clean water fountains. In any of the places that have been negative, have they had that?
The only fountain I remember seeing is Statler,
Mm-hmm.
but that place is beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Statler is a big hotel.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, with lots of room. So who knows what happened in the
Yeah.
Oh
corners.
yeah.
But that was basically it. These very simple things.
I like that a lot, actually.
You know, I mean, if you just tried as a way of saying hello, offering light so that it will illuminate them. From what I've heard, it would be a great way to just make a more gentle connection.
Mm.
You know.
It sounds nice.
Maybe you'll have to try that out and come with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure, definitely. I was talking to a scientist last night, and I was talking to him about talking to you two. And okay, let me see if I can really get this straight. You guys are paranormalists, and you're trying to prove it to science. How do we bridge the gap between the tinfoil hat wearing people, the voodoo dolls, and science? What needs to happen in between? Does a new branch of science need to be created to bridge the very, very far out paranormal and the very, very strict scientific rigors?
I think it's on its way.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that there's scientists right now trying to come up with ideas and ways to prove it, and it's on its way. I mean, every tech guy out there is trying to come up with the next way to scientifically prove that it's there. And besides for what we have now, I mean, it's definitely on its way. There's some pretty cool stuff coming out, and I can't, like there's a what's that called that Jason was talking about, our tech guy. It's actually
Oh, the computer program.
Computer
Oh my gosh,
programming.
I forgot.
Alice.
Yes, that Alice.
It's called Alice Box, and an inventor from England made this. And basically, the theory is that when there's certain energies used, it's going to be able to allow what's ever there to speak with us via the energy that it's using. So we've tested it a couple times and gotten some pretty cool verbiage coming through on it, whereas
Before, it's just little snippets.
a little light going off or something like that. So actually bridging the communication gap between that realm and where we're at, So if this program works, and we're actually able to have an intelligent conversation with something on the other side, it's pretty unexplainable,
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's very exciting.
Yeah,
It's very exciting. Well, I very much want you guys to come back, tell us what you're up to. I very much want to see your new shows.
Yeah.
I know that now that you guys have a little bit more of a following, it's giving you guys a lot more energy to do some amazing stuff. Would you guys come back?
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Excellent,
Yeah. There's
excellent.
a lot of us, so
Yeah.
Well, this place is small, but we could
we
work
can
something
rotate
out.
some people around and
Yeah.
get different stories from different people.
I would. I very much, I wish we could have a campfire and just record because I'm sure we could all
Got a lot
tell.
of stories.
Yeah.
We got a lot
We
of
do.
stories.
That sounds like a good idea, though.
Campfire ghost stories. Excellent. So we'd like to thank the Greater Western New York Paranormal Society for coming by and shedding some light on the dark corners of Buffalo, New York on a dark, cold, pre-winter night. And we can't wait for them to come back, and we cannot wait to see what they do in the future.
Thanks
Good
for
night.
having
We'll
us.
talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.